good morning, time to go. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure. We are all
Welcome back to the 3x5 Life
podcast.
Jesse has issues with flies.
We don't have
I'm
issues.
learning
We have
this.
2 in our house and they're driving me crazy.
It's
And
really...
I was like, don't they drive you crazy? And Brian's like, no, I don't let it get in my head. And right before it landed right on his head.
So on this podcast, we talk about mindset, mindfulness,
and insects.
Productivity, insects, wellness. Last week, we spoke about living your life in 30-day challenges, which I'm still trying to outline what I could do over the next 12 months.
Are you going to set one for October since September's underway? Or are we going to finish up September with a new one?
There's some things I'm implementing in September, but the fly just did dive bomb me. And Jesse's loving every second of it. But I want to start off clean in October because we're going to be traveling.
Like your definition of clean, like all of that whole. You said you want to start off clean,
like a clean 30 days.
Oh,
in October, because I mean we're going to Acadia National Park. So
got it.
Yeah,
I thought you meant because you have those established clean days, and I was like, oh well, aren't we are you just giving up on September?
I always have the clean days.
Anywho,
so, anyway, so this week we teased it a little bit last week. We're talking about accountability. Mm-hmm. Accountability equals consistency, which equals goal achieving. And what's interesting is if you think about our youth when we were young, we had built-in accountability systems. We had our parents, in most households, not every household, telling you to eat your vegetables, telling you to go to bed, telling you to wake up this hour so you could get prepared in time for school. Then we had our teachers telling us to, get to class, telling us to study for a test, all those things. Coaches talking about giving 110% or, getting your workouts in. So we had that. And then when we turned 18 and we had this freedom, if those who transitioned to, living on their own or going to college.
I mean, even in college, you had supports in place. You had an advisor. You had people who were
But there was the slippery slope started though.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely had more freedom, but there was still pieces in place that sometimes you could rely on. If you took advantage of them, like myself.
And then, yes,
not like Brian.
Goody two shoes. But as you get a career, obviously you're not going to miss that meeting with the client or that meeting with your boss, but you will miss that meeting with your body. Those things that your parents kind of had you try to do, eating healthy and taking care of yourself
sleeping,
and sleeping, that's all gone. So we have to almost reinvent or create these either artificial or real accountability systems in our life to help us flourish, to help us achieve these goals that we're all striving for. And it's really hard to be self-motivated to drive it forward. So there's almost I recently heard about almost 5 levels of accountability. So if you were talking
about this the other night,
you want to run through the first few?
I remember you talking about the first one being accountable to yourself. So that's almost like an integrity piece or
yes.
a word to yourself, giving yourself your word. People do this in all different kinds of ways, but one way is if you think about different cultures have things like ikigai, which is something that you put on your nightstand or something to remind yourself of what you're committing to do, and just that refocus and re-energizing each day, making it not an option to fail, whatever it is. So I'm committed to whatever it is, and that there's no option to fail. So that's the first piece. And I think that level is really important to start with.
It's the hardest level.
It's the hardest level sure, because if it's just you.
Yeah. And I think I'm still strong at this, but it has waned over the years, when that's why I've hooked up with groups, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But in the beginning, it was just I was so determined that, I just kind of made that commitment that, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but just in my integrity and my soul, I knew I wanted to achieve these goals.
Yeah.
But then
you definitely are better at it than most.
But it has waned.
I mean, with some things, I think for you too, you you are so consistent to a fault that even when you feel like you slip up at all, you feel like it's massive because the impact is so much bigger than someone who like ebbs and flows. I'm going to Mr. Miyagi this fly. It is like nailing me in the forehead every 5 seconds. Sorry. Sorry,
I think you just wanted to hit
Welcome.
me.
You don't know this piece of me, but I easily get distracted by things.
All right.
So the second one is a public declaration. So this is something that I talked about actually last week, how important it is to rely on your circle of people. Make a public declaration. Sometimes people like to do this via social media, like so that it's out there in the world. And sometimes just saying it to another human being makes you feel immediately more accountable to whatever it is that you're trying to do. So it could be to a spouse, it could be to, a group of friends, it could be publicly on Facebook, it could be with colleagues at work, whatever that looks like.
At your neighborhood barbecue, you just tell everybody,
like, hey, I'm working on this, or I'm training
for a marathon.
I'm committed to doing this.
Yeah.
It makes it feel real. It almost becomes like stamped in that moment.
Yep, exactly. All right, what's number 3?
Number 3 is an accountability partner. So this takes that one-on-one piece to it. I love the idea of having an accountability partner who's also working on something similar. I feel like that is like the secret sauce, right? Like, so if you are training for, a 10K or a 5K, finding someone else who you can do your training runs with. And when you don't feel like doing it, knowing that you have the other person who's relying on you is a huge motivator. And so it's that integrity piece of yourself, right? Like, so committing to yourself, it's making a public declaration like out into the world. And then the third one I just talked about was finding that one person who might be on a similar path to you and trying to implement something similar so that you can feed off each other and then also be there to support and cheerlead for each other too.
Yeah. And then the fourth one that I think is actually the most impactful of all 5 is start an accountability group. So 3, 5, 8, 10 people, and you lead that group. And if you lead that group, then you're going to have to set the example. You can't show up. So, you could have like calls on Sunday where everybody checks in on Sunday. I committed to, and then you go around the horn and say, I committed to this last week and I did this. And this coming week, I'm committing to this, So, and everybody hears it. And if you lead the group, you're taking the notes. And then at the end of the call, you can send out a group text message, be like, Jessie committed to this for the next week. And then if you're leading that group, you truly have to take accountability of the group, not just the things you're trying to achieve.
This reminds me even of like if you think about research of like group dynamics and how this really helps. I mean, look at something like AA, which AA, the idea of that is to create a group that's committed to something, to literally report every Sunday of, what you're working on,
or daily,
something that you did, or daily, whatever that is. Yeah. So I think that that idea of creating a group that holds each other accountable and checks in with each other regularly, I think that is awesome. And if you can lead it, even better.
Yep. And the last one, the most expensive one, but is hiring a coach. I have a coach. I had my coaching call today, and he gave me my homework, which was essentially my accountability for next week. And so when I have my call with him next week, I mean, I'm not going to show up to that call without those things being done, or I know, I'm going to be letting him down, letting myself down, and it's just going to be an awkward way to start out the call. So the last one is, if you're interested in hiring a coach, and that could be, an athletic coach, a personal trainer,
a health coach.
Yeah, health coach. If you're trying to change your diet, a
mindset coach,
coach, business coach. So you could have all these different areas of your life. Whatever you're focusing on is you could get an accountability coach for that specific area: business, wellness, fitness.
I mean, there's something to be said too, like seeing Bryan. So I do some health. I'm a certified health coach. I don't know if I talked about this on here. And I've done some health coaching in the past. And I do it as an actual course for my grad students too, where I do one-on-one coaching calls with them. And it's funny how often people say, like, I would never have tried this if I didn't know that I was going to talk to you at the end of the week, or if I didn't know. And even Bryan going through his coaching program, the impact that those calls have, he usually comes home and he'll tell me about the calls, what he's working on. So
we have a lot to talk about tonight after my call.
I know we haven't. He just got home from work, so we haven't debriefed. But I think it brings me joy just hearing what he's working on, and then I have this accountability piece with him as well because he's sharing what the coach shared with him. So it's a trickle down effect, and I've been able to see a huge difference in you. And I think like through your coaching, I get like, I don't know, secondhand coaching. So you won't regret it, is what I'm saying,
Yes.
if you do kind of dive in or look for somebody who can help in those ways.
Yeah, so those are the 5 levels of accountability. Again, accountability is going to create consistency. Consistency is the key that's going to unlock your goals. So remember that, take this seriously, and until next week, guys, enjoy.
Enjoy. Take care.
We are all